How many objects does the average person hold? Before we can answer this important question, we have to consider two things. First of all, holding isn't solely restricted to having something held in your hand. Holding can also be considered wearing clothes because all of your body parts are holding the respective parts they're in charge of. Your chest is holding your shirt, your legs are holding your pants, etc. The act of holding a door. Holding a door, that also counts as holding an object. Hell, it could also be on your back. Like holding a backpack on your back, for example. That is also considered holding. Second of all, we need to consider that there is no stock average person example in this context. So I will be providing a template for how many objects does this average person hold. The person in question is here on Exhibit A. The person is a middle school to high school student. And this is what they do during the day. They wake up. They slept like a baby, right? The first thing they need to do, hopefully they have an alarm. So they're going to turn it off. In turning it off, they are holding the alarm to shut it off. That makes object number 1 for them. From there, they might choose to get dressed. An ordinary person would hold a shirt, a pair of pants, underpants, and socks. And with these objects considered, that makes 1, 2, 3, 4. That now bumps up the total to 5. From here on, they are going to want to eat breakfast, hopefully. I hope you guys don't skip breakfast. It's the most important meal today. Anyway, for breakfast, they take milk and cereal. Easy choice, easy to make. You have to grab a bowl for the cereal. That makes object number 6. You then grab the milk and cereal, and that makes 2 more. Now bumping it up to 7 total objects. What do you eat the cereal with? A spoon. That now makes 8 objects. Once they finished breakfast, they go over to the bathroom. They hold the door to get in, so that makes 9 objects they've held so far. They brush their teeth, so they're going to need to squeeze out toothpaste from the bar. Now bump it to 10. Grab the toothbrush. That makes it 11 objects. And then, you just brush your teeth. I don't think everyone does it, but personally, I take a cup and I just pour some water in to rinse my mouth like gulp. So that, in that case, that will make it, where are we at, 12? If not, we're still at 11 objects. From this point, we now walk to school. Depending on how you get there, it's going to determine how many objects you hold. If you're taking public transport, you're probably going to have to scan some kind of bus pass, so you're going to be holding that. That would make object 12 for you. If you're walking to school, you're probably just going to have to hold the door to get into school. That would just make object 12 in that case. So we're now 12 objects. During the day, what objects are held? What do you write with? A pencil and eraser. That makes 14. Other honorable mentions of objects include a highlighter and a calculator, which make 16. And if you guys still use physical textbooks, that would make object 17. And then lunch rolls around. Usually people pack their lunches in a lunchbox. That makes object 18. And I guess a lunch is comprised of around 4 to 5 objects, which means, including the water bottle, of course, which means that you're gonna bump up your total from 17 now to 22. You got 22 objects, and I think that concludes it in a school context. Unless your school allows you to use iPads and you have an Apple Pencil, you're standing at 22 objects so far, but if you have that very particular case, you're now at 24 objects. Alright, you get home. You're not really holding any new stuff. You've held door to get inside. You've probably made yourself dinner. If in your free time you like to play video games, now this is where objects come in. If it's a handheld, it means the controller is being held in your hand. That makes object 23. And if you play on a TV, at one point you're going to have to turn it on, right? So you need the remote. So that makes 24. And yeah, you're probably going to have to plug in a disc if it's not the digital version of GTA 5. So it's probably going to be object 25 from there. Now, no new objects are incorporated for the rest of the day until you go to sleep, in which there is an ambiguous case of people who sleep with sleeping masks and with earplugs. These are going to count as 2 more objects, now bumping up your total to 25. I don't have enough fingers for that, so 25. So now we can conclude that Exhibit A holds a total of 25 objects. Now, for Exhibit B, the person in question is an ordinary employed person. He wakes up in the morning, maybe a little later, probably has an alarm, so he's going to turn it off. Object 1. We're going to have breakfast. You need a bowl, the food, utensils, that's now 4. Maybe some coffee, so that's going to have you hold a mug, that makes 5. And then I'm assuming they get dressed after, so that makes shirt, pants, trousers, and socks. That now bumps it up to 9. To get out of the house, they have to hold the door, so that makes 10. And at this point, you've got a driver's license, so you're going to get in the car. You have to hold the door of the car, but that does not count as a new object. Instead, the car keys count as the new object. So you're going to hold the car keys, to start the car. And once the car starts, you are holding on to the steering wheel. That is object 12. Pretty sure. So nothing else comes up. You get to work. You're holding another door. Nothing goes on there. This is an ordinary 9 to 5, so most of your days comprised of doing paperwork, which means you're going to probably hold paper that makes object 13. And you're going to have to write with something, so maybe with a pen, so you're going to make that object 14. Or if it's at a computer, you're going to be holding a mouse, which makes object 15. I'm debating if writing on the keyboard really counts as, holding. So we won't include that one for now. Okay, lunch break drops up. The lunch break comes around. And let's say you have 4 to 5 objects in your lunchbox. You've now bumped up your total to 20 objects. You then get home after a long 9 to 5 day. And again, there's nothing new. You're probably going to want to watch a movie if it's on a Friday, so you're going to get the remote to turn on the TV. That makes object 21. You're probably going to get some popcorn and butter, so that makes 2 more objects, and then you're at 23. And yeah, nothing else is there from the other day. You're going to have dinner, but obviously you already had breakfast, so we're not going to count the same object twice. And again, if once you go to sleep, you choose to put on the sleeping mask and earplugs, that would make your total 25. If not, you are rocking 23. So in conclusion, we can say that the average person holds about 23 to 25 objects. That's about it. Let me know what you think. What do you think other types of people, how many objects those other types of people would hold? And that's about it. Thanks for watching. Bye.